Here's 5 things I wish I knew before I started flight training. Your CFI is going to end up being like your life coach. They're going to be there for you through everything. Basic requirement is, yeah, they're just getting you through the checklist, but practically, that's the person like on your sidelines through this whole thing. They're your main source of support through getting your private pilot's license. But do not underestimate how important it is to choose the right CFI. I have a video about CFI green flags. I'll link it up here. But I just want to convey that here right now of how important it is. Your CFI is going to help you with confidence and momentum and progress, and they're also very directly tied to your financial outcome. You are paying them, but then also, the efficiency of your training is going to be directly related to your flight instructor, and that's going to come down to like the total number of hours you end up renting a plane for, whether it's solo flight or dual flight with your instructor. So you have to shop around for CFIs. You have to talk to multiple ones. A lot of people are just going to end up going to a flight school, talking to the person at the front desk. You're going to end up getting a PR response from that flight school. You need to talk to instructors. And so you actually go directly to the instructor. Find them on Facebook, find them on the internet somehow, get their contact information and talk to them and see if you can feel out different kinds of instructors just by chatting with them online, email, phone call, whatever it is. And I think a lot of people have probably found themselves in a situation where they were being too polite. You're not obligated to work with your instructor. You don't owe them anything. You are hiring them for a job. They work for you. And so if they're coming up short somehow, you need to be mature and communicate to them. Either tell them how they can fulfill the needs you have, or tell them, hey, I want to work with somebody else. I'm going to go fly with another instructor and assess the fit with them. Number 2, flying is the easy part. So I thought when I was getting ready to do my private pilot's license, I thought basically 95% of the whole thing is learning how to fly the plane. But that's a very small part of it. And learning how to land a plane is hard. Learning how to do some of the maneuvers is hard. Learning the communications on the radio can be challenging. But flying the plane is simple compared to all the other hurdles you're going to run into. You're going to run into scheduling issues, financial setbacks. There might be maintenance problems. You show up to do a lesson, and then, you fire up the plane, you do the mag check, something's wrong. You got a huge drop in RPMs. You can't fly the plane now. What? I've been preparing for this lesson for the last 2.5 days. This was supposed to be a big one. It's really important. I'm kind of in the headspace. I'm ready to go do this thing. And now the plane's down. And I can try to hop in another plane or whatever, or reschedule for the next day. How long is the plane going to be down? That stuff, it's the stuff outside of your hands-on flight training that can really set you back. A theme during this video is going to be momentum, momentum, momentum. And there's so many ways that you can lose momentum in this training process. So the reason I bring this one up, recognize as you're preparing for training, it's not just about time in the plane and learning how to fly the plane. For every 1 hour in the plane, you've got a couple hours of stress, preparation, and learning on the ground, whether it's dealing with scheduling with the plane or your flight instructor, learning, specific pieces of knowledge for that upcoming lesson or something. You put in so much work other than just flying the plane and learning how to fly the plane. So that's one thing for me. My expectations were such that, oh, cool, yeah, it looks like, average is 60 or 70 hours. So I'll just kind of make a time budget of 60 or 70 hours to do my private pilot's license, and there you go. No, it's more like a couple hundred hours, because you need to account for all the stress and hurdles you're going to encounter outside of your actual time flying the plane. Number 3, weather will really halt your progress. So if you're doing flight training in Phoenix, maybe weather's not going to be as big of a deal. If you're in the Midwest, could be a lot bigger deal. And it depends on the time of year. I mean, Phoenix is not great for flight training in July, August, September. So it's like the weather in Texas or Arizona, it's not always perfect. I did a lot of flying in the Rocky Mountains, and in the summer you got thunderstorms. You can't really flight train when there's thunderstorms. And in the winter, the air is usually cold and smooth. The air is typically stable in the winter, which is nice, but you're dealing with icing. Can't fly a GA airplane when there's icing conditions. And I dealt with a lot of wind shear days. That's very frustrating. So I had one point where, out of 20 or 30 lessons, 40% of them had to be canceled for weather. Incredible setback. And when we're talking about momentum being a key element in successful flight training, weather can mess you up. So you need to have that in your head as you're planning. Know that weather can really set you back. I can't tell you how many times my flight instructor or the owner of my flight school, oh my God, I always hear the same comment like, well, weather's something we have to deal with in aviation. Well, the one thing you can expect in aviation is nothing can be expected, or expect the unexpected. I would get frustrated when they said that shit to me, but it's true. If you have the right expectations around weather and you know what to expect, it's going to help you a lot. Keep that momentum and keep that positive motivation as you're doing your flight training. Definitely can be worth considering a relocation to do training based on weather. That can be a serious consideration. Number 4, budget optimism can destroy you. You need to be realistic about the budget. If you're talking to the flight school, you're trying to figure out how much this is going to cost, they're going to give you the lowest estimate, Oh yeah, we do $15,000 for your private pilot's license. That's if everything goes perfect, It's probably going to be a few thousand more than what the flight school is telling you. I mean, they're marketing. They're trying to get you in the door. They're trying to get your credit card in their system. And it's no fault, for them. They're not even really being dishonest. They're being optimistic. You know what I mean? And that's tough if you come in to your flight training optimistic about the budget and you're kind of on the low end and you're like, oh cool, I think I can get it done for this amount. I got this much money saved up. I think that's going to be enough. It's not. And the reason why I'm telling you this now is because you will be crushed if you get 70% of the way through training and you run out of money. Momentum, gone. Motivation, crushed. And that's just a terrible situation to be in. And even if you don't run out of money, but you're getting close, that added stress is a killer in flight training. Flight training is really hard. You don't want to make it any harder than it needs to be. If you got financial stress on top of it, this whole thing just gets a little bit more challenging. So you have to be super realistic with your finances. Talk to people you can trust. Talk to friends that have gone through it. Talk to independent CFIs. It doesn't even have to be your own CFI, but just talk to someone that's in the industry. Talk to someone that already has their private pilot's license and really hash out, how much is this going to cost, Get prepared and get realistic before you jump in and get to it. Number 5, the Checkride. Checkride nerves are real. Everyone is nervous before their Checkride. It doesn't matter if you're a 141 student or a Part 61 cowboy, however you're doing it. The best pilots and the least prepared pilots, everyone's nervous for the Checkride. And I'm sorry to say I don't have any comforting words at this point in time. Checkride nerves, you just got to live with it. It's a serious test. It's not like your college final exams where it's like, oh, this is final exam is 50% of my overall grade. No, the Checkride is pass, fail. Either you can do everything on the ACS without making a mistake, or you fail. I recognize how scary that is. And I recognize how hard it is if you're going into a Checkride. Nerves are going to make you perform worse. And so I don't want to make anyone nervous for their Checkride, but you just need to understand nerves are a part of it. And I think the way to overcome those nerves is through relentless preparation. Seriously prepare for this exam. I have to admit, I went into my Checkride with the bare minimum qualifications. I just checked all the boxes on my flight requirements. And I would say I just barely checked all the boxes on my knowledge requirements, say like for the oral exam portion. And as far as doing the maneuvers and landings, I was really kind of bare minimum as well. I executed every one of the maneuvers, but how consistently could I do it? And how much did I trust myself to execute under pressure on the exam that day? And it's tough because it ties into budget too. It's like, yeah, it'd be wonderful if everyone had $50,000 to fly around in a plane and train until they were extremely competent before taking their Checkride. But the reality is people are trying to get it done kind of as quick as possible to save money, right? So it's tough. You have to find that balance. But I just want to encourage everyone to seriously prepare for that Checkride. The more, if you can go in over prepared and go in with a lot of confidence, it's going to make that Checkride feel a little more smooth. So I think one of the trends in this video, momentum. Motivation, momentum, forward progress. I made a video about why 70% of student pilots fail. And it's not so much that they fail, it's that they give up. They lose steam. They don't make it to the finish line. And it's not for lack of competency. It's for lack of momentum and drive and forward momentum. You know what I mean? So you have to go into flight training optimizing for this forward momentum. You want to have a coach in your corner that's going to keep driving you and supporting you through this whole thing. That's your CFI. You want to make sure you have, the funds available to just support yourself as you make your way through this. And you just want to have your expectations set up such that you know what this is really going to look and feel like. And that's hard. You've never done it before. And so you have to really talk to people every chance you get, and try to understand what this is going to feel like. And that's hard for me. When I was getting into aviation, I didn't know any pilots. I didn't know anyone at all. And yeah, so I had to meet people, and meeting people, can be hard to do sometimes. So you need to make sure you're active in online communities and in-person communities. Join the EAA. go to these in-person meetings with the Experimental Aircraft Association. There's one in every airport around the country, I swear. That's a great way to just meet some people. If you're looking for a job, or maybe you got time for a part-time job or a side gig, look for jobs at airports. That's where you will meet people in aviation that you can talk to. But it's really important to talk to people. And, feel free to hit me up online and we can chat. I can talk you through some of the questions you might have, or find other people online. In the aviation community, people are very helpful, very friendly. So don't feel afraid to reach out, contact people, and get to know people. They'll help you through this process and get you prepared for the flight training process. Thanks for watching. Go out there, get in a plane, go flying. It's totally worth it. And let me know if you have any questions. Thanks. See you next week.